The envelope was stiff, certified. It sat between a grocery coupon and a water bill, but it was the only thing with weight. It was my 34th birthday. Not a milestone, not a big deal. I wasn't expecting much. Maybe a card if they remembered. Maybe not. But something about the envelope made me pause. The return address was theirs, my parents'. For a moment, I thought, maybe. I brought it inside, set it on the kitchen counter next to the flowers my assistant sent. Sat down, peeled it open carefully. No handwriting, no card, just a single page. Printed, formal. After careful consideration, we have updated our estate plans. All remaining assets will be left to Lily Monroe and her children. Given your current circumstances, we trust you understand. 3 lines. No greeting. No signature. Just one word at the bottom. Regards. Not love. Not even Mom and Dad. Just regards. I stared at it longer than I meant to. My coffee went cold. The city outside my window kept moving cars, bikes, the muffled hum of construction, but I couldn't hear any of it. This wasn't grief. It wasn't anger. It was confirmation. That what I'd started to believe was true was. I wasn't part of the family anymore, at least not the part that counted. And yet, what struck me more than the erasure was the timing. They sent it on my birthday. Not a day before. Not a week later. Exactly on the day they once said was the best day of their lives. Had they forgotten that part? Or did they remember and send it anyway? I wasn't the forgotten child. Not at first. When I was little, I was the capable one. The big helper. The one who held the diaper bag and reminded Dad not to leave the stove on. By 10, I could cook 3 meals. By 12, I was walking Lily to preschool fixing her laces when they came undone braiding her hair because Mom wasn't good at those things. Lily was the baby, all soft curls and soft stories. When she cried, everything stopped. When I cried, I was told I was being dramatic. At school events, Mom always made a scene posing with Lily in the center, me holding someone's coat on the side. Even our birthdays were telling. Hers were themed unicorns, dolphins, a rented pony one year. Mine. A cake from the freezer aisle, sometimes 2 days late. I used to think maybe I'd done something wrong. Maybe I wasn't lovable in the same way. But Grandma Eloise never made me wonder. She lived 3 blocks away in a small blue house with a cracked porch swing and an always full cookie jar. She didn't have much, but what she had, she shared without drama. Books, stories, time. She taught me how to balance a checkbook before I hit high school. How to fix a leaky faucet, how to breathe when it felt like no one saw me. And when she got sick lung cancer slow and mean, I was 16. Mom couldn't handle hospitals and Dad worked late, so I went, every day. I changed her bedding, learned the med schedule, sat through appointments. Lily came once. Sat in the corner, posted a photo left early. But when Grandma passed, I was the one who found the will. Tucked into a copy of Little Women of All Places. She left her house to me, her car, a small savings account, and a note. You were the one who stayed. Not because you had to, because you saw me. It wasn't about the money. It never was. It was the first time someone chose me out loud. At the funeral, people whispered. Mom looked like she'd swallowed vinegar. Lily in white lace and dramatic eyeliner barely made eye contact. Later that week, Lily pulled me aside. I know you got the house, she said, flipping her hair the way Mom did when she was cornered. But I'm kind of stuck. Rent's a mess. Could I crash for a bit? She moved in that weekend, stayed 6 months, never paid rent, used my shampoo, my groceries, my car when I wasn't looking. When she left, she didn't say thank you. Just vanished. 3 years later, she was the one who told people I had taken advantage of Grandma. She called it weird that I'd inherited everything. Said I manipulated an old woman for property. I never corrected her. Never confronted her. Because by then, I understood something even colder than silence. They weren't forgetting me. They were rewriting me. But I still wonder, did Lily ever remember those nights I made her soup when she had the flu? Did she remember who held her through the thunder when Mom left the windows open? Or did those things just not matter anymore? After Lily moved out, I started locking my doors. Not just the front one, the invisible ones too. No more family group chats. No more "Can you just look over this lease, or it's just until payday?" I moved to a one-bedroom condo closer to the university where I taught night classes, sociology mostly. The kind of course people took because it was required, not because they cared. But I cared. The patterns, the systems, the ways people repeat what they swore they'd escape. I saved slowly, took on consulting gigs, said yes to the offers no one else wanted: holiday shifts, curriculum audits, late-night Zooms with irritated donors. It was quiet work, but it paid. And in 4 years, I'd saved enough to start something that felt like mine. A nonprofit third circle education. We offered life skills workshops for teen girls aging out of foster care. How to read a lease, how to spot a predatory loan, how to write a resume without lying. They came in guarded, left taller, and when people asked what inspired it, I never said my family. But I always thought of Grandma Eloise, and how the people who need the most help often learn to ask the least. Then came the article. A local reporter, quiet, thoughtful, had sat through one of our sessions, wrote a piece, called me a quiet engine of change. The headline was shared more times than I expected. It reached old classmates, former professors, even my parents. 2 weeks later, I noticed I'd been removed from Lily's Instagram entirely. Not just blocked, erased. Family wedding photos cropped, childhood pictures reposted, captions edited. Just me and my guardian angels, she wrote under a photo where I had once stood between her and Mom. At first, I thought it was an algorithm thing, a glitch. But then I saw the old photo from my college graduation, the one I'd framed for Dad. In the new version, I wasn't in it. Someone had physically cut me out. I didn't even know people still did that. Scissors, tape, new frame, no caption. Just a photo hanging in the background of Lily's kitchen in a video tour she posted when she moved into her dream home. I recognized the frame. I'd bought it. I didn't cry. But I stared at that empty space longer than I should have. And I wondered, when they rewrote the story, did they ever stop to ask who paid for the first chapter? It was a Tuesday afternoon. Rain on the windows, a cold leftover sandwich on my desk. I was editing grant proposals when the knock came. 3 firm taps, then quiet. I wasn't expecting anyone. Most people called first, or texted, or didn't come at all. When I opened the door, they were standing there. My mother, my sister, and a man I'd never seen, mid-40s, nice coat, wedding band, Lily's new husband, I would learn later. They looked rehearsed, hair perfect, clothes neat, smiles forced. Rachel, Mom, said, her voice half breathy, half familiar. As a family, we thought it was time for what they didn't ask to come in. They just did. Brushed past me like it was still their right. I watched them settle into my living room. Lily curled into the corner of my couch like she used to in high school, except now in heels, full makeup, like a woman playing a girl she barely remembered being. Her husband said nothing, just nodded politely like he'd been told to stay out of it. Mom started with compliments. How proud she was. How she'd always known I'd do something meaningful. How she showed the article to some people at church. Then came the ask. Lily and her husband had started a business. Real estate marketing. It had promise, she said, but they needed startup capital. The bank wouldn't approve the full loan amount without a co-signer. Someone reputable. Someone with a proven record of stability. They wanted me to back them. On paper, just for a year, maybe less. I know things were tense for a while, Mom added, eyes wide. But family finds its way back. Right. Lily didn't speak. She looked down at her hands the way she used to before a lie. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I stood there watching them sit on my couch. I bought in a home I built, asking for trust they never earned with voices that had once called me ungrateful. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, brought it to the coffee table, set it down. Didn't speak. Lily finally looked up. I just thought you'd understand, she whispered. Her voice cracked, but her mascara didn't. I thought about saying it, about listing every time she hadn't understood me, every time she left, erased, rewrote. Instead, I just looked at the water and waited for it to go still. They didn't stay long. Didn't finish the pitch, didn't finish the water. The door clicked shut behind them with the kind of quiet that feels heavier than a slam. And I stood there in the silence they left wondering, did they really think I wouldn't remember? The envelope this time wasn't certified. It was hand-delivered, thicker, colder, a civil complaint. They were suing me, my own family. The charge, unjust enrichment. They claimed I'd used undue influence to inherit Grandma Eloise's house and savings, that I'd manipulated her, isolated her, cut them out, that Lily had been the true heir, but I'd intervened. It read like a script, a fiction where I was the villain and Lily the grieving granddaughter too kind to speak up until now. I sat with it for hours, didn't call anyone, didn't cry. I opened my filing cabinet and pulled out the folder I'd kept for 15 years. Medical records, handwritten notes, photos of me and Grandma in her garden at her chemo sessions opening Christmas cards I'd signed for her when her hands shook too much to hold a pen. And the will, notarized, filed, stamped by the county court on the day she died. I didn't need to defend myself, but I would. My lawyer was a former student of mine, Elena Ruiz. Smart, unshakable. She'd once written a dissertation on power dynamics in inheritance disputes. When I showed her the complaint, she didn't blink. "We've seen this before," she said, "but they made a mistake." I raised an eyebrow. Elena smiled just barely. They submitted altered evidence. Lily had forged documents, emails supposedly from Grandma, notes that didn't match her handwriting, even a draft of a revised will that was dated 2 weeks after Grandma's death. They didn't even bother to check the hospice logs. Grandma had been unconscious by then. We didn't counterattack, just submitted proof. Point by point, quietly, firmly. When the deposition day came, Lily showed up in pearls and a black blazer as if it were a family brunch. Mom sat beside her pale but composed. I didn't speak much. I didn't need to. Elena did. Calm, methodical with the precision of someone who had waited her whole career for a case that spoke for itself. Lily stumbled when asked about the timeline, changed her story, then changed it again. By noon, her lawyer requested a break. By 2:30 p.m., they asked to settle. Elena declined. She wanted it on record. 2 weeks later, the judge dismissed the case with prejudice, called it a malicious and frivolous attempt to distort documented history. In legal terms, it was a victory. But in family terms, there's no word for it. Mom never called. Dad didn't either. But someone forwarded me a screenshot. Lily had posted a story, a close-up of her tear-streaked face captioned, "Some people will do anything for money, even lie about their own blood." No names, but everyone knew. I turned off my phone for 3 days. When I turned it back on, there was one voicemail. From Lily. Her voice was tight, controlled. "I hope you're happy. You ruined everything. Mom won't speak to me. Our investors pulled out. We had to close the office. I needed you." Then silence. Not a request, not an apology, just a sentence. "I needed you." As if needing someone once gave you the right to hurt them over and over. I didn't delete the voicemail, but I never listened to it again, because by then I understood the deepest truth of all. They hadn't turned against me because I failed them. They turned against me because I didn't. The second time they came, they didn't knock. They called. My father of all people. After nearly 7 years of silence, his voice was clipped. Not angry, just strained. "Things got out of hand," he said. "Your sister regrets a lot. So do we. The lawsuit, that was unfortunate. But we're family, and families survive worse." I didn't answer right away. I waited. Let the silence do the sorting. Finally, he cleared his throat. "We'd like to invite you to a gathering. Your cousin Grant is getting married. Big celebration. Lots of people. It'd mean something if you showed up." I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty, just the absurdity of it. They wanted me there. Not for reconciliation, for optics. Because now my name meant something. The nonprofit had expanded. Third Circle was in 3 states. We'd partnered with a national women's leadership fund. My face had been on the cover of a regional magazine. From Forgotten to Force, it said. They didn't want me. They wanted her the version of me that made them look good by proximity. I declined. Politely. Briefly. A week later, Aunt Marla called. She'd always been kind in a distant teacup-rattling way. Said she understood why I was hurt. Said what Lily did was inexcusable. Then, just as softly, "But maybe it's time to let it go, sweetheart. People are watching. Weddings are about joy. Don't bring the past into it." That was the line. Don't bring the past into it. As if the past was a purse I could choose not to carry. As if they hadn't already spilled it across the room and walked away. I didn't respond. Didn't go. Didn't post. That Saturday, when the wedding photos flooded social media sunlight champagne, a rented garden I stayed in, lit a candle, read one of Grandma's old paperbacks, and when the doorbell rang just after dusk, I looked through the peephole. It was Lily, alone, no makeup, hair back, eyes red. She didn't say anything, just stood there, waiting. I turned off the porch light and let the night answer for me. Lily never tried a third time. After that night on the porch, she didn't text, didn't call, didn't email some long apology asking for another chance. She disappeared into her world of curated reels and mid-morning yoga, and I stayed in mine, not out of bitterness, just clarity. I no longer needed to be seen by them. I only needed to stop being rewritten. The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was exact. It filled only the space they used to take up. No more, no less. When people asked old friends, former neighbors, the ones who never quite knew what happened, I kept it simple. They chose a version of me that was easier to delete. Sometimes they'd press, "What do you mean?" And I'd just say I was there. They just didn't want to see me. That always ended the conversation. No one had a reply for that, because the truth doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to be proven or paraded. It just needs to be said. Once. I didn't write them off. I didn't post. Didn't burn photos or mail back old cards. I let it all stay where it was. In drawers. In old inboxes. In the quiet part of the house I no longer opened. Some memories don't need closure. Just boundaries. And that was enough. Last spring, I repainted the hallway. A soft gray. Clean, calm. I took down the photos, all of them, not in anger, just necessity. Dust had settled behind the frames. Time had moved ahead of them. One I almost left. A candid shot of Grandma Eloise and me sitting on her porch swing with mismatched mugs of tea. No poses, no edits, just presence. But when I lifted the frame, I noticed something behind it, tucked flat against the wall. A second photo folded, torn at the edges. It was from my college graduation, the full version. Me in the center arms around Lily and Mom, before they cut me out. Someone must have hidden it there. Maybe me, maybe not. I slid the torn photo from behind the glass. Didn't put it back. Didn't throw it away. I left the frame empty, hung it back in place, not to mourn what was missing, but to remind myself what's gone doesn't need to be filled. It just needs to be named. Once. Quietly. And then left alone. If they once erased your face from the picture, did you ever hang the frame back up?